Welcome to Chapter 8 of It Is What It Is, Run Through the Evil Within. If you remember in our last episode, we dropped down a ladder that we found kind of at the bottom of the catacombs in the church, and we're here. And we're just as confused as Sebastian is. We don't know where here is, but there really only seems to be one way to go. Maybe this would be considered an underground caverns underneath the catacombs. I don't really know why this would be way down here, but we dropped down a long way. There are different ways to deal with this little area here. In a speed run, you would just kind of run by a lot of that. But lighting that guy on fire works out really well for us. Using the frost bolts to get both of them. Yeah, you have to deal with them in some way, or one way or another, because you have to get to this wheel to lower this gate. And it takes a long time. I mean, you can see it's going to take a very long time to get this gate all the way down, and you cannot leave those guys in the same chamber with you while you're trying to get this to go. It's pretty hard to miss, but you can see the statue, the little statue that holds the keys coming down on the chain there. Depending on how stressful those two-headed creatures have been for you getting there, you could easily miss that, but it does kind of come down right in front of your view. Chapter 8 is one of the shortest chapters. Really, for us, it turns out to be the shortest chapter. I guess if you're doing a speed run and you cut all the cutscenes, Chapter 1 is probably the shortest of the chapters because it's so heavy on cutscenes. You know, as you play, it's trying to set the tone, set the storyline going. But this chapter winds up being very short with very few cutscenes. So what we've done, I've called this the 8+, Chapter 8+. It's because we used the extra time that we had left over after running through Chapter 8 to add on the introduction to Chapter 9, which is a longer chapter. It allows us to get all of the real meat of Chapter 9 into a single video that follows this one. Another audio tape of Ruben speaking.
Aberrant brainwave patterns observed in subjects number 25 and 33, and now again in 55. The one common factor is a case history of dissociative sense of self, but there were unanticipated results here. Suicidal thoughts of alternate personalities exhibited as attacks on the core personality. As self-consciousness waned, a sort of stasis was achieved. Like two creatures sewn together and forced to live as one. Eternally hating the other. Delicious.
This is the first time we see I don't know what to call these things, these little crawling, they almost look like embryonic type creatures. They interrupted our gate opening. They never present much difficulty, at least not on casual or on survival mode. Both those difficulty levels are just kind of annoyances. There is an achievement for killing a certain number of things with physical attacks, and these help you up that count pretty drastically. I like the water effects. They work really well. Up to 122,000 green gel, none of which we can use during this playthrough, but it would all be there for a New Game Plus if we wanted to continue after this. We've talked a little bit about New Game Plus and how you can't run this challenge, the It Is What It Is challenge, through New Game Plus because you have to do no upgrades. So you either have to make this your very first run through the game, which would be extremely hard, not knowing what was coming along, not knowing how much ammunition you need and how to use it. That would be very difficult to do as your very first run. So normally you have to start a whole new game to do this challenge. You'll do it on casual, of course. If you've completed the game on survival, then even after you complete this one on casual, you can still start New Game Plus with the difficulty of survival. And you can start new games, of course, then still with the alchemy that you unlock by doing the survival. You see, these two-headed monsters can be quite tough. If they're standing up, they can take a lot of damage. It seems like they eat through a whole lot of handgun ammo, or shotgun really works pretty well for them. But it seemed like I didn't want to use shotgun ammo during this part. The other things that's kind of interesting about the New Game Plus is when you finish a game, like in this game, we're going to complete the Master of Unlocking. So we will have unlocked all of the lockers inside the safe room. When you start a New Game Plus, those lockers that you've opened are still opened and the resources that you've used are still used. So you only ever get the resources that are in the lockers that one time, the first time through a playthrough stream. It just struck me as unusual that the way things propagate through in the streams. You'll also get a grenade launcher, and the grenade launcher, or I guess they call it a rocket launcher. In this one, it's more of a rocket than a grenade. But the rocket launcher comes with, I believe it's 30 rounds, and that 30 rounds is all you'll ever get for it, because you'll never find any ammo for it. You can't construct any ammo for it. So in your new game playthrough, you're going to get those 30 rounds. But if you're intending to play the game several times through in one chain, just remember that all those resources, they get used up. It turns out that, I mean, for us it didn't matter that much because we didn't run that many. We didn't do that much in the New Game Plus mode. What we did in New Game Plus, the first thing we played through it on survival, then we played New Game Plus, and on the New Game Plus let me explain this puzzle first, and then I'll go back to that story. But this puzzle, if you read that note, it's saying that I have a 50-50 chance of putting this coin up against this door. One side's going to open it, one side's going to cause the trigger, the spikes. And so the assumption here is that the side that's bloody is the side that he put on the outside. So you put the opposite side on, and then it opens the door. Okay. Simple enough, but thought it might be worth saying how I knew what side of that coin to put on there. Okay, so in the new game, so what we did is we played through on survival. That unlocked the alchemy difficulty. It also unlocked New Game Plus. We used New Game Plus to go back through, complete all the treasure hunting, complete the every nook and cranny. We're going to complete that in this playthrough, and we're also going to complete the Master of Unlocking. But in our first blind run through it, we did not complete those two challenges. So we used the New Game Plus to go locate the things that we had missed for those two treasure hunting achievements. We also used it to go to each chapter. There are various different achievements that can be unlocked for each chapter. I almost forgot a map fragment. You need to turn around. When you first come into new areas like that and they shift, you need to turn around and look behind you, because often there'll be either goo, or in this case there was a map fragment, which you would need for the achievement we were just talking about, the every nook and cranny achievement. So each chapter has a set of its own achievements that you can use. With the New Game Plus, you can pick the chapter that you want to go to and work on those specific achievements. We did all that work on casual as well. There were things like blowing up so many enemies with the rocket launcher, which of course you can only do on New Game Plus, because that's the only way you can have a rocket launcher is on New Game Plus.
Doc, what the hell is going on?
There's no time. I need to figure out how to reverse this if we're going to stop him.
Who?
This is an important
Ruben guy?
cutscene.
Who the hell is he?
I'm sorry, I have to find this.
I can't help if you leave me in the dark, Doc. And you need me to help.
We were working on a method. How can I explain this? It's like linking brains together. Sharing everything on an electrochemical level. Emotion, memory, perception, everything. Directly. It's unprecedented. The implications on psychology, on pharmaceuticals, on consciousness itself.
Are you serious? It's a fucking nightmare.
Well, I didn't say it was perfect. Especially not with such a unstable host.
Great. So your research partner is a psychopath. And we're all inside his head.
Not exactly, no. All of us are contributing on some level. But he's the only one with conscious influence.
You know how he thinks. What does he want?
Well, it's just a theory, but I'd say he wants us dead.
Doctor?
Pretty strong theory going there. So once we complete all the miscellaneous achievements on our casual run-throughs by selecting the different chapters, it's important to know that as you complete a chapter, if you want to carry the progress on the things like every nook and cranny and Master of Unlocking, you have to complete each chapter. So that winds up kind of feeling like playthroughs. Just start in chapter 1 and work through each one of the various achievements that you need to get through and find the things you need to get through. That basically will wind up being a second playthrough, if you will. But it's not quite as, it doesn't feel as much like a playthrough because you can kind of just sporadically, you can pick which chapter you want to work on. Like if you found everything in one chapter, you can skip that chapter, etc. Once you've done that, then what we did is we used New Game Plus to complete the speed run. The way you do that is you start the run, you start chapter 1 from the New Game Plus, and then you just always load the saved game in a chain. Just continue that down in the same playthrough, and it will restart your timer with when you complete chapter 1. And then the timer will count up, and then you have 5 hours to complete the run to get the achievement. Once we had done that, then we moved on to this challenge, the It Is What It Is. That would be the end of chapter 8. We're going to start chapter 9 here for you. You could start here again with another one of these flashes. This is obviously not a memory that Sebastian himself has. This is going to be a memory set from Ruben himself. So you're getting some insight into how Ruben became what he is.
Detective Castellanos?
Was that someone else's memories?
You were moaning in your sleep. Have a bad dream?
But once we completed the speed run, the only real challenges left that we had were to complete the It Is What It Is run, which has to be done on a new game, and then complete
It can be
Akamu
easy at times for memories
Nightmare,
to be distorted
which is
by others. That is
also
why
only
they must be
completable
cherished.
as a new game. The reason that difficulty level challenge is only available on new game is because when you start a new game plus, you can only pick up to the difficulty that you've already completed, so you can't even choose the difficulty except for on a new game. It's a different mechanism than most games use.
You look as if you'd seen a ghost.
Where their hardest difficulty is primed for you to use all the upgrades that you've accumulated throughout your gameplay. Here, the gameplay, it takes on a different characteristic. It's expecting you to use the knowledge you gained, but not necessarily the upgraded weapons. So the foes and everything in the Akamu difficulty are not all that much more formidable. They don't take that much more to kill, but you become very soft, or they become more vicious, I guess might be the better way to describe it. They become faster, more aggressive, and the damage they do is amped way up, such that everything is a one-shot kill. It's not one shot in the sense that as soon as they hit you, you will die. It's not necessarily one shot. They will when they hit you, they will grab you, they'll throw you to the ground, and then pummel you until you are dead, and you can't stop it. So it's a one-shot kill to you in the sense that they touch you, you're dead. But visually, it's not a one-shot kill. Now on the Steam boards, the highest difficulty level is completed by more players than the It Is What It Is challenge. I'm not sure why that is, but we chose to do the It Is What It Is challenge first because we felt like after doing a speed run that we had a good understanding of where everything was going to be, where all the enemies were going to be placed, the paths through. If we needed to skip an area because we just weren't strong enough to do something, we would know what we could skip and how we could do it. So when you get to the higher difficulties, the two higher difficulties have different layouts of foes. You find them in different places. You find some of the harder foes earlier in the game. So we just felt like It Is What It Is felt like a better match for the experience that we had gained by running through and completing the other challenges. Now we can't use any of the equipment and upgrades that we got from that, but we can use all the knowledge of the game and all the knowledge of the maps and the foes that we gained. So we chose this as the next challenge after the speed run. We chose it to be the first set of videos that we would post to YouTube because it tells the complete story. Leave all the cutscenes in, you get to see everything. We tied with it the other two challenges that usually take people multiple playthroughs through to get, which is the key here is part of the Master of Unlocking, and the other things that we were finding, the map fragments, the documents, the personal documents, the missing persons posters, and the newspapers all have to do with the every nook and cranny, finding all of those different things.
Hey! Stop!
So we thought that would be a good introduction for anybody looking for the game. Somebody who's experienced and is looking for where is everything, how did you find these things, as well as anybody that was wanting to know the storyline, and anybody that was wanting to know how hard is this game, how hard is the It Is What It Is achievement.
Now what?
I think it being below the completion rate on Steam that the highest difficulty setting is makes people not attempt it. And really, it's very attemptable. Now this is an interesting document because there's a big debate online. When you open up the in-game menu and you're looking through newspapers, you'll see that there are 22. But everybody says there are only 21 newspapers. That document counts as both a personal document and a newspaper. And it shows up on both
I knew it.
your personal documents inside the in-game menus
Don't you
as well
think
as
you
on the
should use your
newspapers.
green gel?
So there are 22 newspapers. There are 22 unique newspapers that you find, but that newspaper counts as a personal item as well. And so I put both counts on the screen just to emphasize that point, that document counts twice in when you're looking down through your what documents am I missing inside the menus. Like if you use the button that pulls up the in-game menus and you look through the artifacts, you can use the buttons to tab through the different artifacts that you would be looking for. So now we've collected 7 keys. I mean, we've got a lot of lockers to open. Hopefully we'll find something good. Handgun ammo, of course, is always useful. Green goo is not useful on this run. During your other challenge run, the Akamu run, or during your first standard runs. And when you're trying to fill out one of the achievements is to completely upgrade all the weapons. Another achievement is to completely upgrade Sebastian. Obviously finding the 5,000 goo at a time in here is critical to completing those achievements at any sort of timely manner. We're having a string of green goo. Now remember, these any of these resources you don't use completing the run are resources that are only going to be available to you in New Game Plus from this. But all the resources in there, it really depends on how much you're expecting to play New Game Plus. That's our chapter. We'll see you next time.